Hi everyone, welcome to the SuperClashBros, a podcast where we take a deep dive into the horror stories of Reddit and discuss the things that truly go bump in the night. My name is Trey, and I will be your guide through the strange and unexplainable this evening. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Trey, and today I'm joined once again by my co-hosts Connor and David. Today we're going to be doing things a little different. It's the season finale of SpookyCast, so we're going to do one long video with 3 stories in it. And the first narrator tonight is going to be Connor. So Connor, go ahead and take us away.
Alrighty, tonight's story comes from the user Jale and is titled Creepy Christmas. This is my first post and first ever day on Reddit, so please bear with me. When I saw Let's Not Meet, I knew I had to share one of my own not so pleasant stories. It was Christmas Eve and I was a freshman in high school. My parents had been split up for some time, so normally we trade off Christmas Day and Christmas Eve every year. And this year I had come home early from my grandparents' Christmas party, while everyone else was at my aunt and uncle's celebrating at another party. When I was dropped off at my cousin's, they offered to stay with me for a few hours, yet I declined. I thought I could watch some of my new DVDs and get some alone time in the house, which is a rarity. I had noticed an unfamiliar car parked on the street, but didn't think anything of it considering it was Christmas Eve. Probably a neighbor's relative or something. After I got inside, I locked the door, grabbed snacks, and started to settle down. I hadn't been home for more than 15 minutes when there was a knock at the door. I unlocked the door and opened it only a crack to see a man standing there. Dark hair, glasses, slightly overweight, and dressed casually. He didn't look like much of a threat, but my stomach dropped. He asked, "I was wondering about the car outside. Is it for sale?" I told him I didn't think so. "Is there someone I can talk to about it?" I said, and stupidly, I might add, "No, you can come back another time," and shut the door and turned the lock as fast as I possibly could. He reached for the handle immediately and started pounding on the door. I heard a string of profanities and the pounding stopped. Terrified, I was crawling on the floor to the phone, hoping he wouldn't be able to see me through the windows. Then I heard noises. Our house had an open garage door, and it led through to the laundry room, where the door lock was broken and no one had bothered to fix it. Just then, I heard a man yell, and I saw the man through the window run to his car and drive off. My uncle had gotten him just in time and scared the man off. Who knows what would have happened if he hadn't made it home in time. Sadly, we didn't get the plate number and nothing ever came of it. But I'll never be home alone on a holiday again.
God damn, man.
Yeah.
That's some creepy shit, dude. Like, fuck. Imagine if the uncle hadn't been there, man.
Yeah, it was just a series of rough situations, with the opening the door to a stranger, first of all.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't have done that.
yeah, and the fact that the garage was open and he was able to get in through there, that's also scary.
Some Home Alone vibes.
Yeah. I can't imagine a situation where I would be home alone and open the door for some rando stranger.
Right. Also, I like how they say, "I'll never be home alone on a holiday again." How about, like, just any day ever?
Yeah,
Like, it just happened to be, like, on Christmas Eve. Or, yeah. Wait, was it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? Either way. Like, it just happened to be on a holiday, but, like, this could have happened any fucking day.
I think it's just the profanities that are shouted. Like it's a holiday, man. Why you gotta be so mean?
I don't understand. What would they have done if they're like, "Yeah, it's for sale. Here's the price."
Right?
Like,
Why get
would they have
so
been like,
angry
thanks,
about
okay,"
it?
you know?
Unless, like, the only reason they got angry was because they didn't give a fuck about the car. They weren't there for the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, never answer the door without a gun.
Let me see
Got
here.
Gun.
Yeah. Ugh.
No, I mean being a homeowner myself, like I've had the occasional person come up to my door, granted during the day, and like ask me something random. Like, hey, can we sell you this? Or, hey, do you know who lives next door? Blah, 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 things like that. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't. And I've got to get back to work. So
Now, I would have opened the door if the man was dressed as Santa Claus, because I don't want to go on the naughty
yes,
list.
I would have opened the door for Santa Claus. If he starts shouting profanities at me, I'm going to be looking for his little glass of cheer.
To any would-be robbers out there, if you plan on robbing Connor or David on Christmas, just dress up as Santa Claus.
Yeah,
they'll let you in.
You will get a plate of cookies that may or may not be laced with rat poison. So
yeah. Hey,
those aren't chocolate chips.
If they bring a reindeer with them, they're
chips.
Immediately in.
If you got horses with a carriage in front of my street, chances are I'll let you in. But beware of the chocolate chips. They are quite old and may not be chocolate chips.
I wouldn't say horses. They got to be deer. You got to have reindeer.
If you made it
not just deer, but actual reindeer.
Mm-hmm. Actual reindeer, yes. Mm-hmm. That's a made in North Pole.
All right, well, you guys ready to move on to the next story?
Absolutely.
All right, David, take it away, man.
All right, David. All right. So this one's called My Scary Christmas Story, which was apparently true, by Shelbster420 in the Nightmare subreddit. Mr. Nightmare subreddit, sorry. All right. The story takes place 4 years ago and still haunts me to this day. It's a lot of haunting. It was Christmas night. My family were driving home from this fancy restaurant. I, unlike my family, wasn't tired, so the 45-minute drive seemed perpetual. On top of that, my little sister was constantly moaning about how her friend didn't get her anything for Christmas. After about 20 minutes of driving, my dad stopped at a gas station to get some cigarettes. My sister, my brother, and mother would all go out to pee. I stayed in the car as I had already gone before we left. Classic good job number one. Once they all left, I decided to play a few games on my phone. Looked at the car clock and saw that 10 minutes had passed. So I immediately wondered what was taking them so long. As soon as I peered out the car window, I saw a man staring at our car. The man startled me as I didn't know how long he'd been watching. What made it even more unnerving is that he had a plain, blank face. No expression was shown. It was hard to make out any features as it was pretty dark, and he wasn't standing in an illuminated part of the station. He was about 5'9" and looked to be middle-aged. You know, for not being able to see anything in the dark, that's pretty good details. Once he saw me notice him, he started walking towards the car, and I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared. Luckily, my dad came back with the rest of the family just as the man took a couple steps. My dad apologized and told me he had an argument with the cashier. I didn't care. I was glad that my dad was with me. Took another glance at the man outside, and he was still staring, but this time he had an annoyed look on his face. We drove off, and for the rest of the car ride, I couldn't stop thinking about that man. This wouldn't have been too bad if it had ended there, but it didn't. Later that night, I was watching YouTube while everyone else slept. Luckily for me, a storm was raging over us. I enjoy storms. It makes me cozy as I'm lying in bed. Put my phone down and just enjoyed the ambiance. That didn't last for long as I heard something smash into the window behind me. I lurched forward and nearly fell out of bed. I thought a bird had just smashed into the window. I parted the blinds, and what I saw next haunted me. A man standing out by my parents' cars, looking up at my room. I took a closer look and nearly had a heart attack. It was the same man that I saw at the gas station. Only this time, when our eyes met, he grinned. Being the 14-year-old I was, I did the manly thing and screamed at the top of my lungs. My dad came running down the stairs and entered my room. "Why the fuck are you screaming?" he said. I told him about the man and I explained everything that happened. My dad grabbed a baseball bat and told me to call the police. After 10 minutes, the police turned up outside our house and found the man in our shed. He got arrested, and that was the last time I saw him. Next day, my dad inspected the house, and we found the handle of our back door had been damaged, but not completely broken. It gives me an eerie feeling as if he managed to get in, he could have harmed us or possibly killed us. That escalated pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd say.
I want to know what he was wanting. Like,
I mean,
arresting the bad guy, we never know what his motive was. I'd be, anxious to know what the reasoning is.
I would say there are only a few possibilities, honestly. Like, he was either one, gonna steal the car and kidnap the kid, two, he was just after the kid, or three, he always planned on following the family back to wherever they were going and going to try to break in and harm the family.
That's just horrifying.
Ever had anybody follow you guys on a road trip?
I can't say that I have, but I haven't really been paying attention either. Like, the scariest part about this story is just thinking about how often you're out and about in your everyday life and you're like not really paying attention to your surroundings. Like, how many times could someone have just stood there and been watching you and been like following you or had plans to follow you home? And especially like now, with the holiday season, like there are, what are they called, like jugging cases or something like that, where like people will like be out watching you holiday shop, watch you put your stuff in your car, follow you home just to like break in and like steal your shit that you just bought. Like, it's wild, man. The world's a fucked up place.
I think it would be very hard to do that to me, just because I'm, to a fault, very aware of everyone around me. Like, if I notice a car is following me for like a few too many intersections, I start going on alert. And I'm very perceptive of the people around me. Like, the other day, my wife and I went to Michael's, and we were looking for a few like Christmas decorations. And we were walking around the store, and everywhere I went, this middle-aged woman was there. Everywhere. And I thought it was just me being paranoid or whatever, because, I'm weirdly, I notice people around me a lot. But after about walking about 3/4 of the way through the store, I kind of look over at my wife and kind of like make a like, what the hell kind of face. And she's like, does like, yeah, like one of those. And I'm like, okay, this woman has been like following us around the store. So we like walked up like near the register and like we're hanging around up there. And this woman comes up to the register too. And she's hanging around up there. It was the weirdest thing, dude. And so we just kept walking like back and forth from the front to the back until finally this woman like checked out. She seemed to be having some kind of issue with the person at the register, but then she eventually left. But like, yeah, it's really creepy to notice that it seems like you're being followed. So, I don't know. Have you guys ever had a moment where you think you were being followed by somebody?
A few times in traffic where I think someone's oddly going the exact same route to the exact same place, and then they end up turning off just before my road. So I'm thinking, oh, you live right next to me. But I don't know. I haven't had any of those like person following me feelings like when I'm in a store or anything. But I've definitely had some sketchy traffic exchanges sometimes that I'm like, I hope this person isn't following me, because I just kind of sort of cut them off, so you think that they're gonna follow you and bash your head in or something when you stop. But no, nothing like that.
See, yeah, it's funny because like for me with traffic, it's the opposite. Like sometimes I'll be following a car, just like driving to work or something on my normal route, and like they'll be going almost to the same place, and I'm just like, do they think that I'm following them?
Yep.
Because I'm not.
that worry gets to you of like, you're trying to telepathically say, I'm not following you, we're just going the exact same
right. But yeah, I haven't really had an experience where I've been like followed. I've almost been run off the road by a crackhead not paying attention. Or, well, I was run off the road. Thank God I had my Jeep. Otherwise, I'd have fucked up my car. But
honestly, Connor, I think maybe you're just too tasty of a treat.
Yeah, I'd follow you home, Connor. Wink, wink.
I'll follow you through Michael's. Yeah, I'd wait at the cash register for you to leave, and then like maybe sniff your car or something.
That's a little weird.
the story we're talking about, dude.
Safety tip to anybody who feels like they're being followed. If you're in your car, drive towards the nearest police station. Typically, they'll turn off before then. Or, if you're out in public wandering around, wander towards a big group of people. Someone's less likely to do shit when you're surrounded by like 20 plus people. So yeah.
They're really ballsy. They want an audience.
Like when Trey follows me, he probably wants an audience.
Oh, always.
He does. He makes sure the selfie cam's on live. That way he can record it.
He can shank me in a
So,
crowd.
going back to the story, there's a part here where he says, I told him about the man and I explained everything that happened. My dad grabbed a baseball bat and told me to call the police. Did the dad run outside? Because it doesn't say anything else about like a confrontation between the two of
I'm
them.
betting he grabbed a baseball bat just in case he tried to get in or something. Like, because I mean, the thing is whenever you see this suspicious figure and then you call the police, there's that time from you've seen the figure to the police have been called. What do you do then? While that time is counting down, you have
Get
to
the gun. Get the gun, dude.
Well, that's probably why he got the baseball bat, because he doesn't have a gun.
That's
So,
the problem.
Yeah, no, that's the problem with this story. But I mean, you know, they probably got the baseball bat just in case the person tried to come in. That way they can defend their little home or wherever they were. Was it a home or a hotel?
I think it was
I guess it was their house.
the grandparents' house or something.
Something must have been, up with this person if they realize they've been seen and they didn't, like, piss off before a cop could get there. Like, a thief is probably just going to be like, I've been caught. I need to get the hell out of here.
See, that's I don't think that they were there to steal the car.
I
think
don't
they wanted
think
to
they were.
kidnap the kid. That's
But
honestly
even-
what I think. And that's why they followed him to the house and then tried to break into the house.
Even still, though, they've been caught, basically. Like,
You've been caught by a child. Who's to say that that child's gonna fucking say anything? Or even if they did, that the parents would believe them?
I mean, I
Like,
think most.
Yeah,
you gotta think that, like, these individuals are, like, pretty much already committed in their mind that they're going to, like, do this thing. Whether they get caught or not. So, there's not really any way to deter them. You just have to hope that, like, whatever they do, they get caught by the cops. Or there's some, like, civilian justice that gets handed down.
I wish
Either
there was
in the form of an ass whooping or whatnot.
I wish there was an update to this, because they probably would have been given the option to press charges for at least trespassing. And,
Well,
they should have...
not only trespassing, but damage of private property.
Exactly. So, like, there should have been more to this story, an update of, like, what happened to this person who did this thing? Did they go to jail? Or were they let off with a slap on the wrist? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I assume that they probably took him to jail.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, whether the family pressed charges, like, we'll never know.
Yeah. And plus, when you press charges sometimes for...
Yeah, people still get out.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not like they'd go to jail for the rest of their fucking life. They're gonna get out.
It'd probably be an overnight stay or something.
Oh, man.
Like, hey, why did you do this? Oh, I was lost. Okay, you're free to go.
Anyway, creepy story. We ready to move on to the next one? Yeah? Alright, this one is posted by the user Killer Orange Cat. It's titled 3 True Scary Christmas Shopping Stories. I'm only going to read the first one, though. Number 1, customer. I hear a lot of scary shopping stories, and they are usually from the perspective of the person who is shopping. However, my scariest experience happened when I was working at a bookstore. About 2 months after I was promoted from bookseller to assistant manager, we were hit by the Christmas rush. It was always so overwhelming, really. By the end of the night, everyone was so wiped out, and getting all the receipts and drawers counted at the end of the night took so much time. On the nights that I was closing, I let the workers go as soon as they were done. There was no reason to make them stick around and be tired while I was finishing up my work. After I let everybody go, I went back in the office to do my work. After a while, I heard the doorbell ring. We had security cameras, but there wasn't one at the door. So I had to go to the front door and see who it was. There was a guy there, and he was dressed in dark clothes and had his hood up. I asked him how I could help him, of course watching him through the door. "Hey dude, I left my wallet in your store," he told me. "Can you open the door and let me come in and get it?" I asked him where he thought he left it, and that I would look for it for him. He didn't like that idea, and told me that he wasn't sure. He had been shopping through the entire store and would have to look for it. I asked him if he had bought anything, and he told me yes, which meant he had to have his wallet on him at that point. I pointed that out to him, and he seemed taken back a bit. I told him we didn't get anything turned in, but I could take his information and get back to him if we find anything. The man began getting angry, telling me that he needed his wallet tonight and he couldn't wait for me to look for it. He kept insisting that I let him in so he could look for it. When I told him that there was no way I was letting him in the store this late, and while I was alone, he began getting visibly angry. He told me that if I didn't let him in the place right away, he would call the police and tell them that I stole his wallet. He even got his cell phone out of his pocket and acted like he was going to call. At that point, I had enough. I told the guy the best I could do for him is take his information and call him if anything was found. I then told him that if that wasn't good enough, then there was nothing I could do for him at all. He got really angry and began swearing at me. He grabbed the door and began shaking it, demanding that I open the door. I told him I was going to walk over to the customer service desk and call the police. I wasn't willing to cooperate anymore. As I made my way over there, I noticed the guy take off down the street. I thought that was the end of him, and I figured that I didn't really need to bother the police for this. I went back to my work and tried my best to get it done so I could go home and get some rest. It took me about 2 hours to honestly finish all of my work. I hadn't heard the doorbell ring and pretty much figured that I wouldn't be seeing that guy again. However, when I was going to the front of the store, I did look around to see if anyone was in the parking lot before I went outside. I went out to my car in the cold and couldn't wait to get out of the cold. However, I froze when I was maybe within a couple feet away from my car. There was someone in the back seat of my car. He was hiding, down on the back seat with his hood over his head. But there was definitely someone in the back seat of my car, and I knew exactly who it had to be. Furthermore, he must have seen me or he wouldn't have ducked down. I did the only thing I could think of to do. I turned and I ran at full speed back to the store. I didn't look back around until I had made it to the door, and yeah, he was coming at me. I unlocked the door and shut it behind me. He made it to the door right before I could lock it, so I had to do my best to hold it closed while trying to turn the lock. As I did, the man screamed all sorts of obscenities at me, telling me he was going to kill me. As the door opened outward, I quickly pushed it toward him, knocking him on the ground. Before he could realize what had happened and recover, I was able to get the door closed and locked. I immediately called the police. The guy left after the door was locked, but the police picked him up pretty quickly. Damn, dude.
I was left thinking two things after you read this. Option one, person came there with the intent to do harm. Option two, and this is just because I worked retail for many years in the past, the person legitimately did leave their wallet. They got irrationally angry and let it escalate to a point where they were willing to do violent things just because they didn't get their way. And I can say that because I have seen customers over very little things, especially middle-aged customers, get very irate and upset and aggressive over like very tiny things. And so if this person thought, hey, they're being a dick to me, they're not letting me get my wallet, I can't do anything without my wallet, blah, 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 and they just completely lost it, I could see that. But I could also see it being, something they thought out beforehand.
Yeah, I work in the restaurant industry, and I've seen a lot of things go down. I've had a lot of things happen to me. Hell, we had a manager who, this guy flashed a gun at her because it was during COVID and he refused to wear a mask. And when she asked him to put a mask on, he was basically like, "Get fucked, like I'll shoot you." We called the fucking cops on him, and the cops were just basically like, "Well, if you want to press charges, you can do that, but like, there's not really anything we can do about it. He didn't pull it on you." And so like the dude just went and sat down and continued eating without a mask, I guess. But yeah, like people are willing to do like crazy shit. Definitely, especially when they think that like they've been wronged. However, in this instance, I think that the main goal was to do harm from the beginning, because if they bought something in the store and they had the wallet on them and then they dropped it somehow, 9 times out of 10 someone's going to find that and turn it in, and if they don't, well, then it's gone. And like there's literally nothing that worker can do about it if some random dude stole your wallet. Like at that point, you know, close your credit cards, freeze your accounts, whatever, move on.
A lot of people out there that don't think rationally.
Yeah.
They'll think that, oh, you're taking it from me. I've had customers accuse me of doing shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I lost my phone or whatever, and I'm like, I haven't seen it yet, but if it, it's turned in, like you probably took it, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, bro, I took your phone.
Dude, I had a quick change artist give me a $20 bill, and then when I gave them the change back, they were like, no, I gave you a 50. Like, did you steal my money? Are you that like hard up that you like need that money? And I was like, no. And I was like, I got the 20 right fucking here that you gave me. I never put it in the register. It's been sitting here the whole fucking time. Like, go fuck yourself.
When I was in high school, I worked at McDonald's, and I had a few customers try that shit on me. Or they try to confuse you by giving you a certain amount and then giving you a different amount, and then you're like...
Yeah, like this lady, like, she gave me the money and then was like, yo, can I use your phone to, like, call somebody? And I was like, I guess. And so, like, she picked up, like, the landline phone and was, like, calling someone, thinking that was going to be enough to distract me. But, like, I've been in this game for a long time, man. Like, I never put it right in the register. I always set it, like, on the top. I count out the change, give it back, and then I'll put it in there once I know everything's fine. Because I know that this stuff happens.
People are sketch, man.
Yeah, dude. And I love the fact that he threatens to call the police because he thinks that the employees stole it. Like, what are the police going to do?
I'm going to be honest, like... they think the police are gonna do something.
And then 9 times out of 10, that happens. Like, that person's the one who's gonna get charged with something.
Yeah.
Whether it's like disorderly conduct or like disturbing the peace.
They don't think that, But what I would have done, honestly, if I were in that situation, I would have called the police anyway, even after they left the first time, and just asked for an escort to my car. They'll do it, right? Like, if you feel like you're in danger and you've had an altercation with somebody, they'll do it. Because I remember distinctly that when I used to work for Kohl's years ago, there were a few times where there were some sketchy customers who were hanging out in the parking lot as managers were closing, and they called. There was like a cop that would hang out around that shopping center, and they would call and be like, "Hey, can you like watch me walk to my car?" So they would do that. I would have not taken the risk that this person did.
Oh yeah, and
no, that was way too risky.
Like just like don't even like dial 911. Just like look up the non-emergency line for your local police department and just be like, yo, like there's this dude out. He's been like cussing at me, throwing out obscenities, like he threatened me, like hey, can you just like send a unit over here to like kind of look around for this guy? And like they'll do it.
If you say you're afraid that something's gonna happen
for that?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
What, is that surprising to you?
I've never used using the emergency line for something like that, or the non-emergency line.
I don't know. Yeah. I use the non-emergency line when someone broke into my car, because like obviously like they weren't there. Like it's not like an emergency. Just like, yo, somebody tried to steal my shit.
I figured you would need to call the emergency line to get a dispatch.
No.
Didn't know that.
I've had to call the non-emergency line many times over the years, just for like minor stuff, where it's like,
like most times dispatchers will, more so be annoyed if you call the main emergency line without an emergency, because then you're like holding up like other actual emergencies. So
Good point.
I've only called the emergency line like once, and that was when there was like somebody like trespassing in my yard, and I didn't know what they were up to.
That's what a gun's for, man.
I have that, but
I
you
mean,
know,
yeah, well, I mean, we're a castle state. Like, they have to come inside of your house, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
before you can
yeah.
shoot them. But, I mean, you know, if it's dark and you just hear, like, the rack of a shotgun, I would leave.
Yep.
That's for sure. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
you know why anybody would in our state try to break into a house?
Yeah, dude, like, you're just
considering
asking
how
for a
many
bad
gun
fucking
owners
time.
there are.
Like, look, you know, I'm not, like, super, like, conservative. Like, I'm a fucking liberal, if anything. But I believe in the Second Amendment, and I believe that there needs to be a lot of gun reform, for sure. But, you know, the Second Amendment is there to protect yourself, not only from other civilians, but also, like, the government. So, you know, you can't just take that shit away.
So you support the right to giving bears arms?
I do.
Oh, how dare you?
I do.
Bears don't need arms.
Yeah, no, that's
Bear
just
arms.
that would honestly. I mean, honestly, I could see why he would call the police on that kind of situation. Because I mean, keeping your cool, like on a situation like that, would be kind of hard to do. And like your brain's thinking fight or flight, and you know you don't want to go out there and start a fight. My first reaction would be, if this guy won't leave, I'm calling the cops. So, because I mean,
How
I mean,
fucking scary is it though that he managed to get into this person's car?
That is,
and then he's
yeah,
hiding in
no.
the back seat. Like, what the fuck is he gonna do?
That is some next level hell no.
I would have been curious to hear, like if they had posted it. Like, did the person break a window to get into the car? Did they pick the lock? Did this guy just forget and left his car unlocked? Like, I would have been curious to.
That's
know
just
that.
one of those things where it's definitely like it goes from like second degree to first degree real fucking fast. Like,
Mhm.
you know, it's not like a crime of passion at that point. Like, it's like premeditated. So, you know, like there was
wonder-
some thought put into it.
They were waiting out there for like 2 hours.
Yeah, dude,
so-
exactly.
But the thing is, like, if it was premeditated, why would they have tried to go into the store where there's probably a bunch of security cameras? Why wouldn't they have just broken into the car in the first place and waited?
I think
left?
that their goal was to rob the store. And then when that didn't work, they were like, well, fuck it, I'll just rob this guy.
Hmm.
Or at the very least, once he's out in his car, I can get him to, like, I can forcefully get him to let me back into the store.
Could be. You never know.
Honestly, too many variables, but yeah, no, that night would scare the hell out of me, probably.
Yeah, dude. I would be hard pressed to keep showing up.
I'd be like, yo, you gotta find someone to take night shift for the rest of the week.
Either that or like hire a security guard or something.
Hire
like,
security
fuck.
guard, or have someone that stays there with you. Past
Or even if it's like one of those places where it's like a shopping center and like there's shopping center security, like tell them and be like, yo, like you need to up your fucking rounds around like this area. You know? But yeah. Alright, well, I guess that's going to do it for us on this one, guys. This is the season finale of SpookyCast. We will hopefully be back in August of 2023, and we'll, you know, go on this ride again. We'd like to thank all of you for, you know, all you new subscribers and new viewers who have come in since we started this. You know, we appreciate all of you. You know, we'd just like to say thanks for coming along with us on this ride. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and go check out our merch. But other than that, we hope that you have a safe and spooky night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.